Though polls show the border and immigration may not be at the top of voters' minds, the issue maintains its presence here in Arizona. Across the state's more than 260 miles of linear border, 63 of which are currently undergoing construction. Among them is along the Buenos Aires Wildlife Refuge, southwest of Tucson, and near the Coronado National Monument in Cochise County. Tony Paniagua has more.
At more than 100,000 acres, Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge is a scenic landscape among rolling grasslands southwest of Tucson. Rich in biodiversity and color, it is an oasis for Melissa Owen and her husband Troy. Owen used to volunteer and work at the refuge. Eventually, she moved next door.
When this property came up for sale, Troy and I just sort of held hands and took the plunge and bought it.
Their 600-plus acres includes a vineyard, fruit trees, and chickens.
We want to have the vineyard. We've been interested in growing grapes for a really long time, and so that's part of it. But also, we are really, really committed to protecting a little bit of desert grassland, and we want to have this, perhaps make a foundation so that we can protect this area. We have done a lot of work with erosion control. We've done a lot of work with rainwater harvesting, and also reintroducing native plants. And we hope to have something good to leave when we can no longer take care of it.
But Owen is worried about the future. She learned recently that the federal government is constructing a 30-foot high fence along the border in the community of Sasabe, about 3.5 miles from her ranch. Although details about water usage are in the preliminary stages, Owen worries contractors will dip into nearby wells or dig for new ones, depleting a precious resource.
Water is our lifeblood. When I turn on my water spigot, it's like opening my wrist and watching blood gush out. It is the most important resource that we have, and in my estimation, it's being squandered in a really shameful way.
At Coronado National Memorial in the Huachuca Mountains south of Sierra Vista, well east of the Buenos Aires Refuge, Trevin Hooker is also dismayed about a border project.
It's important historically, culturally, and environmentally.
In this case, the proposed barrier and road is taking place by the Arizona Trail, an 800-mile path that runs from the border with Mexico to Utah.
This area on the Arizona Trail is significant because it's on the southern terminus of the Arizona Trail. This is where people start and end their journey.
Instead of new barriers and roads, Trevin thinks the agency ought to rely on technology, which has a long presence in this region.
They already have a multi-million-dollar blimp that sits and does surveillance in the sky. As we've seen, there's a 50-foot radio tower with vehicles monitoring it that are here 24/7, and there's armed Border Patrol agents who are in this area and hiking this area. That alone should be a deterrent and is a deterrent.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection says it needed more time to answer specific questions from Arizona public media about Owen and Hooker's construction and environmental concerns. However, in May, the agency issued a report summarizing feedback it received about projects in Pima and Cochise counties, which are slated to cover more than 60 miles. CBP acknowledged that in April of 2019, the Secretary of Homeland Security waived multiple environmental laws to expedite construction in areas with high levels of illegal crossings. Over a month-long period last year, CBP says it received more than 13,000 written comments, including 55 comments that specifically addressed negative impacts to archaeological sites and protected areas like the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge. In the report, CBP also says that it will incorporate data information received during the public comment period into an environmental stewardship plan that aims to minimize the wall project's environmental impacts.
The prospect of having the trail move through this, the road move through this area is more than just a few shovels or a dozer cutting line. All of this habitat, all of this wildlife, and this scenic beauty is going to be near obsolete, at least without having to view the destruction and the militarization of this area.
Melissa Owen met with various agents from Customs and Border Protection on Thursday. She says when she inquired about the location of wells, she was told there is one east of Sasabe on Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge. When she asked about the amount of water being pumped, she was informed it is up to contractors, although no hydrological studies were done. Why can't water be trucked in, she asked. She says she was told that is too expensive. The current border construction projects in Arizona are costing hundreds of millions of dollars.
I wish that we could just give up this idea of protecting ourselves with the barrier, because what we're doing is, with this project and with projects like this all along the border, we're destroying the land that we claim to be protecting.
A swath of land and an international border caught in the middle.